producer Susie is snatching... Thank you, David. Producer Susie is snatching something as it goes past. What have you snatched today?
Yes, I've snatched a nice bottle of red wine, particularly a Pinot Noir. I thought would be nice for today.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Just a small glass for Matt, and I'll take the rest home with me.
Yeah.
Today's confession comes from Nigel, Father Simon and the Forgiving Fellowship. This confession goes back to autumn 1985, when I was in my first year of high school, year 7 in current money. I was a sporty type, and in that autumn, I was being introduced, along with my mates, to the sport, or is that torture, of cross-country.
No.
So many people had just reacted in exactly the same. This would be an extracurriculum activity that would take place after school at whichever local school had set up a course for the numerous kids that wanted to take part. The interest level in general was quite low from the new high school kids, but I was encouraged to participate because of my overall sporting prowess and my reputation as a fast runner. After some persuasion by school friends and the head of PE, Mr. Grimes, I decided to give it a go along with the other kids from various older years. We cautiously approached the starting line on the big day, and I was pushed forward by my colleagues since they thought my running capabilities made me clear favourite for this race. As I hesitantly reached the front of the group, I noticed that I was amongst 5 similar-age kids that looked like they knew what they were doing. Smart running trainers, sweatbands, stretching.
Stretching.
Whereas I knew I stood there in my school PE kit and soon-to-be muddy white plimsolls. Following a blow of a whistle, off we went, and it was clear that the semi-professional-looking group at the start knew what they were doing and clearly were experienced in this running discipline lark. They ran in a tight group that led the field, interchanging positions as different parts of the course dictated. I managed to keep them in my sights and was running for most of the race on my own and was confident of 6th place, which was not too shabby for my first go. As I recall, at the end of the race, it was up a steep hill that preceded a straight sprint into the finish. Classic cross-country rubbish. As I started at the base of the steep hill, the group ahead were just reaching the peak of the hill and would start their sprint to the finish line. I puffed and wheezed and panted to the top of the hill, at which point I was surprised not to see any of the leading pack jostling for final position ahead of me in the sprint finish. And my curiosity was solved when a marshal, basically a young kid in an oversized orange high-vis vest, informed me that the leading pack had taken the wrong turn when they reached the top of the hill. And he went on to tell me that because of this, I was now leading the race with just the sprint to the finish line. No one would catch me in the final sprint as I started with my run to the finish. Although the true leading group had realized their error and were hot on my heels. Well, victory would clearly be mine, and I won by a comfortable 25-yard distance and took the race and the shiny gold effect medal. Excuse me. On the way home, the whole bus couldn't believe that I was the school's first ever cross-country winner. Grimes was so pleased, he made me sit up at the front of the bus with him whilst he informed me that I was going places and I would win many more races with his advice and guidance. I hadn't at this point told anyone that I had won the race only because the true leaders had taken the wrong turn. At home, my mum and dad were delighted, and I was allowed a chippy tea as way of celebration. I hadn't told them about how I'd won either. The next day at school, Mr. Grimes ensured that my victory was announced in school assembly, and a mock medal presentation was arranged, much to my embarrassment, but to the delight of my school friends. I still confessed nothing. 2 weeks later, the next cross-country was arranged, this time at a new venue and course, and this time the whole football and rugby team decided to participate. Also, 2 school buses were needed to take all the kids to this race. This was entirely due to the fact that I had made it popular. We were hugely represented. We'd been given vests with school colours and everything. Again, I was shoved to the front of the starting line. I was met with scowls and angry faces from the 5 kids I had cheated out of their victory 2 weeks before. They had their special trainers on again, more sweatbands, more stretching. The race, Simon, followed the same trend as the previous one, and alas, on this occasion, I finished a lowly 6th. No surprise to me, of course, but a major surprise to my colleagues, my parents, and a very disappointed Mr. Grimes. The following dozen cross-country races throughout the high school year followed a similar pattern, although the participating numbers dwindled with each race and my finishing position dropped downwards also. The year ended disappointingly as I failed to complete the course in the last race. Get this, Over the following 4 years, I continued to disappoint.
Oh.
In the end, I got banned from all school sports by Mr. D because he thought I was taking the... Yeah, because he thought I was taking the mick.
Oh, right.
My mum and dad and Grimes believed that at some point I would rekindle the winning way and win another shiny gold effect medal. Several years on from that glorious day, I still had kept the true reason for that victory a complete secret until now. The longer I kept it to myself, though, the harder it would be to break the truth about that victorious day many years before. And so, Father Simon, I don't seek forgiveness from Grimes, who in general made everyone's life miserable over 5 years at high school. I don't seek forgiveness from all those that I kept the cross-country win from. I do, however, seek forgiveness from the runner-up of that first race, the kid with the nice running trainers, the sweatband, the one who knew how to stretch before each race. He went on to win pretty much all of the races afterwards and would have got a clean sweep if it wasn't for that pesky, lazy marshal who didn't direct the leading group correctly, but then realised his mistake, but he showed me the way instead. So basically, it's basically cross-country is the world's worst sport and is hated by everybody. So I suspect Nigel is going to get forgiven, but let's just check it with Sister Susie first of all.
Well, Nigel, there's a lot to unpick here. I can't believe you kept up with the cross-country for so long.
4 years he kept going.
Wow.
That's enough punishment for me. That you just need forgiveness for sticking with it for that long. So I don't really feel like you've done anything wrong. Also, maybe put someone in charge better than a marshal, than a young kid, but that wasn't your responsibility either. So I don't think it was your fault really, and you had a lot of pressure on you afterwards. So I think you've done enough, and I think you're forgiven.
You see, you lie that one time.
Yeah.
And the lie grows and grows.
So it does.
Over many, many years and over many, many decades in Nigel's case.
So true.
And there it is. But now it all depends on Brother Matthew.
Well, I'm going to forgive. I think we've already established that cross-country running is just an excuse for PE teachers to catch up on marking, isn't it? Because there's no other reason. Send all the kids off.
Correct.
And I can sit here and have a fag and catch up on everything else. And also, no amount of stretching or sweatbands is a substitute for actually following the course, sunshine. So there's nothing to forgive. If they don't know where they're going, tough. You won, and that's the way it goes. You knew where you were going, and maybe the marshal wasn't very good, but the marshal was very small. So that's the way things work out. Looks like you should be following your nose and not your sweatpants. So for that reason, I'm going to forgive.
That makes no sense.
Makes no sense.